Sister developed an extreme eating disorder trying to outdo my size, and now I'm torn between saving her and losing her. Thank you to you/dr social determinants for the rec and for helping me keep track of the updates. I do have oops permission to post this. This is a heavy post, so please read trigger warnings. Okay, so I'm 15 and a female, but the one with symptoms is my twin sister who is also 15. We are fraternal if that makes a difference. She's 5'5", and she was 135 pounds at the start of cross-country season when we got our physicals, but she's visibly smaller now and I don't know what she weighs anymore. For medical history, she gets migraines and has medicine for that. So we are twins and we look super similar. It's obvious we are twins, but I've always been shorter and skinnier. I was a lot smaller than her at birth and basically never caught up Lamau. But that's the only real difference physically. She always liked being the taller one because she's 3 minutes older too. When we got our physicals in July though, she got super upset that I weighed 113 pounds and she was 135. She's also 2.5 inches taller than me though, and the doctor said our weights were totally perfect. The doctor could tell she was upset and told her not to worry about her weight because she looks beautiful and she's healthy, and she said she wasn't worried, but I could tell she was lying. And honestly, the night before we had eaten at this Greek restaurant with massive portions and it was probably poop weight. Not to be gross. But yeah. A couple days later she asked our mom to buy grapefruit. Our mom is well-meaning and overall a really good mom, but she did modeling when she was younger and she's a complete almond mom. Like she's always on a diet and talking about how fat she is when she's not. So she was super happy that Isabel wanted to eat healthier. Isabel explained this whole diet plan of only eating good foods and being super healthy. It sounded stupid to me, but I wanted to be supportive. She said she wanted to get to 125. Which her weight before was fine, but that was still pretty reasonable, so I tried to be supportive. She went unhinged. She started watching nutrition influencers on TikTok and Insta. So she started off eating this diet of grapefruit and coffee for breakfast, a salad and half a cup of dry Cheerios at lunch, and grilled chicken breast with honey mustard and grapes for dinner. After like 2 weeks of this, I found her in our closet eating an entire sleeve of Oreos and a plate of nachos and a tortilla covered in melted chocolate chips, and she was sobbing. I told her she wasn't eating enough and that's why her brain made her do that. I helped her clean up and we went for a walk, and I thought she was done with the diet, but then she was searching how to prevent binges, which lead her to following this Instagram model named Caroline Diesler, or something like that. Anyway, she's a vegan, and then my sister decided this is her goal body and she's going to be vegan too. My mom was super supportive of this. Over the last 2 months the amount she's eating keeps getting less and less. Now she's living off almost exclusively fruit and honey roasted almonds and coconut yogurt, with the occasional lemon juice and olive oil salad. She told my mom she doesn't want bad food in the house. This sucks for me because I don't want to live off of rabbit food, but also I'm really worried about my sister. She's doing some really weird stuff with her food. She chews everything so long it must be paste, she uses tiny plates for everything and refuses to eat off red or yellow plates, and she spends ages arranging her food in patterns. She won't eat if she can't drink water with it. She also barely goes to stuff with our friends and me anymore, and she says it's because she's tired or has homework, but she mostly avoids things that involve eating, so I feel like that's probably what she's actually doing. Her times across country keep getting worse instead of better, and she looks miserable when we're running, and she's so angry lately, and I'm pretty sure it's because she's hungry. I keep telling my mom I think something isn't right and she tells me jealousy is an ugly look. So this all leads us to last Friday. We were at a football game with friends, and I forgot to charge my phone. I wanted to show one of our friends the dress I was wearing for homecoming because she wasn't in the group chat, so I took my sister's phone. I opened her pictures to find the dress, and there were pictures of her that she took in her underwear, but they didn't look like nudes. It was like she was trying to see how bony she was. And she looks awful. But I knew she would be embarrassed if our friends saw this, and so I closed out of photos and opened Safari to just Google the store I bought the dress at, and it opened to this forum about eating disorders. I pretended I didn't see it. I looked up the dress, and then I gave my sister her phone and tried not to act weird all night. So then in bed later I looked the site up. It's awful. It's seriously awful. It's people talking about losing weight and having competitions and posting their skinny bodies and wanting to be unhealthy. They share tips on not eating and eating less and not getting caught. I don't know what my sister's username was. I didn't have time to see, so I couldn't find her profile, but no one on the site was healthy. I was crying reading it because it's freaking awful. So the next day when we were walking home from the gas station, I offered her some of my bar, and she said no. I asked again and she said no, she just wanted her Celsius. And I told her I thought she needed to eat something. She flipped out at me and told me to stop being pushy and weird, and I told her I found the website. At first she said she was researching for a school project, and I was like, Izzy, what project? We have all the same classes. She got super pissed at me, and she's barely been talking to me all week and said if I tell anyone she'll never talk to me again. I looked up eating disorders. I'm not trying to make this about me, but it says they can be really bad for you and make you infertile. It looks like a big deal. And not eating can kill you, right? People die of that. I've been an absolute mess for the last week thinking about this. She's ignoring me, acting like everything is fine and eating almost nothing. I'm sorry this got so long. I just don't know what to do. She told me to let it go because she's fine and just being healthier, and she'll increase her food when cross country season is done because she can't run if she's full. But that sounds stupid. She told me everyone diets. Our mom has literally always been in a diet. Pretty much everyone in our friend group has been on a diet or tried to lose weight, and I'm overreacting. This is the only place I knew I could ask doctors about this without having to tell them who I am. Could this make my sister sick or even kill her? Is it my fault because I'm smaller and she felt bad? How can I help her? She's so angry and so mean lately, and I'm really scared for her. I don't want her to get hurt, but I also don't want her to hate me. Update 1. I'm 15 and female, so is my twin sister who this is about. She wasn't eating and lost a lot of weight. She's 5 feet 5 inches. 5 and about 105 pounds. She lost 30 pounds in 2 months. Now she's in the hospital because she fainted, but it's been a couple days and she refuses to eat and keeps trying to pinch her fore, and the doctor said she's getting an NG tube. I had questions about everything, but I didn't want to ask them in front of her and scare her or have her doctor think I was being nosy or rude, so I wanted to ask here since last time everyone was helpful. What does an NG tube feel like? How long does it stay in? Will she be able to mess with it? Why is she just completely refusing everything now? Why doesn't she just eat? When I was researching anorexia, which is what the doctor said she has, I saw it's genetic. Does that mean I could end up like her too? How long do you stay in the hospital for anorexia? I miss her being home with me. I also remember your story as I was one of the docs that posted a response. I'm sorry to see she's still struggling. It's clear from your posts and updates that my concerns were correct and that she's very sick. I would estimate she needs weeks to recover physically from how malnourished she is to get her stable enough to not collapse walking out of the hospital. However, I'm truly concerned that she's a suicide risk to herself, as she's shown that even in the hospital, her refusal to eat would be dangerous. I suspect that she will likely be transferred to an inpatient psychiatric facility to get more intensive therapy and potentially medications to address her other mental health concerns. She's in it for the long haul. That said, even after discharge she will likely need years or therapy and support. She will always have a lingering struggle with food and body dysmorphia. She has a great sister to help support her though, and that will be helpful in her recovery. I don't know the evidence for the genetic risks of eating disorders. We know that sometimes family history is important for things like depression and anxiety, but this isn't my specialty. More importantly, it doesn't mean you're doomed to have this. I would instead focus my efforts on the environment, thinking of how to have a healthy relationship with food and your body. I remember your earlier post about her getting upset that you weighed less. She was also getting her mom to support her dieting. You also said your mom constantly says that she's overweight herself and diets despite not needing to. The first thing for your sister is to work through why she's competing with you regarding weight. Honestly though, if your mom constantly says things like she has, then frankly she needs to stop, as that's so unhealthy to say that it definitely can contribute to body shaming and displeasure at your body image. Update 2. Hi, this is my third post. I'm really sorry. I'm just so scared and I don't know who else to ask because hospital doctors won't tell me much. My twin sister is 15 and female. She went on this insane diet that turned into anorexia and she lost 30 pounds in 2 months. Then she fainted and got admitted to the hospital. She wouldn't eat there either, so they put a tube in her. She wouldn't drink anything, but she gets fluids in and for. So now she's just refusing to sleep. Because they can't put that in a tube, I guess. But all she does is cry and ask me the same questions over and over, like if I'm mad at her and if I love her. She had a seizure a few days back which was really scary. I don't understand why she's doing this and I'm really scared that she's not sleeping on purpose. What happens if you don't sleep? Will you get sick? Can her doctors make her sleep? I don't understand why she keeps refusing to do basic things. She can't go to treatment until she's stable and she says she wants to leave the hospital, but it's like she's trying to die. Update 3. My sister is in the hospital for anorexia. She's 15, she lost a lot of weight and she got a tube in her nose because she wouldn't eat. It feels like everything has gotten worse since we came here, like being in the hospital made her sicker, and it's my fault she's here because I'm the one who called an ambulance on her. But I think I caught her lying about stuff again. In her bag she has a ton of pills all in one of the pockets. I found them looking for her chapstick. I asked her about it and first she said it was Tylenol, but I told her it doesn't look like it and there's more than one kind. Then she said they are just her prescription, but she dropped the bottle and it broke, so she put them in the pocket. But here's the thing, it's different kinds. There's only one kind in a prescription, right? So she's lying? She's just not taking anything they give her and she's putting it in her bag? I thought in the hospital they only give you your medicine for the day, not the whole prescription. I don't want to tell on her if she's telling the truth and make her more mad at me and not trust me, but it feels like she's lying. I know some of the medicine is for sleeping and some is for depression. I don't know about the other one. If she's not taking it, could it hurt her? Is it worth telling them about? Commenter, she might be stashing the ones the hospital gives her. You need to tell her care team about this. Stashing pills is a warning sign. Oop, a warning sign for what? It feels like she doesn't want to get better. It's like she's sabotaging everything. Update 4. The doctor came and asked about the pills. She had prescription water pills that weren't hers, the sleeping medicine they've been giving her and thinking she's been taking, and a stimulant. She won't say where she got the prescription ones that weren't hers. The doctor told her they check all patients' bags periodically if they come for mental health, so thankfully, she doesn't know it was me that told on her. I asked why she's doing this and she said she doesn't know and keeps apologizing. I keep switching between being mad and being heartbroken. It's hard to figure out how to feel when it seems like she's doing it herself. I know she's not. But there's nothing tangible like a tumor or bad blood lab to blame, and it's hard to wrap my head around. Sometimes I don't want to be here with her. She told me she's afraid they're going to make her overweight and I'll always be the prettier one, and I don't know how to respond to that stuff, so I told her I'd like her no matter what, and maybe I can eat a bunch of cakes so I can be bigger and she can push me around in a scooter. I just miss her. My parents won't talk about it other than blaming each other. My friends just want all the juicy details. I'm sorry for rambling so much, it's just that there isn't anywhere else anyone actually listens. I know she's the one that's sick and not me, but it's really hard. Update 5. I'm a 15-year-old female. So is my twin sister, of course. She is really sick with anorexia. It started at the end of the summer and went downhill fast. She lost 30 pounds, and she's in the hospital with a tube in her nose fighting every attempt to help her. It's like she's two people, and I don't understand it all, but she said she doesn't know why she's doing it either. I've been researching anorexia to try and understand and see how I can help her, and I keep seeing articles mentioning how there's a genetic component. At first I kept thinking that could never happen to me, but my sister thought the same thing, and I don't think anyone tries to be anorexic. I skipped meals a couple days and then tried fasting for a few to see if I could understand why she's doing this, and I guess I sort of felt proud that I was able to stick with the diet, but it didn't feel so good. I would want to slowly kill myself in front of everyone I love over it. Is there a chance this could happen to me too? As in, am I at a higher risk of also ending up like her because of the genetic part? If so, is there anything I can do to prevent it? Watching her is so scary. It's not even her anymore. She's been swallowed up by the anorexia. As a side note also, is there anything I can do to help her? Update 6. I'm 15, female, 5 feet 3 inches and 104 pounds. A bit over a month ago my twin sister got diagnosed with anorexia. She's in a hospital now and getting better. I was really afraid when she got diagnosed that I would end up like that because I read it was genetic. I didn't understand it all. I've never cared about my body and I still don't, but I feel like I've been fixating on not becoming anorexic so much that I'm actually creating a problem. I went from 113 to 104 in the last month. I keep getting scared that I'm not eating enough, so then I go and eat a lot, like panic eating to try and not undereat, and I eat so much that I feel sick and embarrassed and gross, and at first I was trying to run it off, but then I realized I could just throw it up. And I started doing that. I know it's not good, obviously. And it's super gross. But does this mean I'm accidentally making myself anorexic because of how hard I'm trying to avoid it? I don't care about my weight, I'm not trying to lose weight, but I keep losing it anyway. I'm just stuck in this cycle where I feel scared that I'm not eating enough and I suddenly need to set everything, but then after I feel so horrible and I want it gone. My mom keeps seeing that I'm eating a ton and telling me I don't have to eat for me and my sister and that I'm going to get diabetes. I feel like this isn't good, but I don't know who to ask about this because it's going to sound so stupid. When my sister was literally almost dead from starving herself to ask if I have an issue. Now on to second story. Found out my volunteering friend wants more than just friendship, rejected his flattery, and now I'm considering quitting altogether. I, F24, volunteer at an animal shelter several times a week, and there's a regular group that goes at the same time, all of which are older than me. The closest one to my age is M28. It seemed natural for us to see if we are a good match romantically, but ultimately I'm not feeling anything towards him, and with everything else this year I'm fine with focusing on myself and being single. We agreed to be friends back in July and I thought that settled it. In mixed company outside of volunteering, obviously, we've had a few drinks and some deep talks, as in absolutely trauma dumping, and usually I'm opposed to this but thought being frank would help us be genuine friends, and forget about the small amount of time we considered dating. Well, it turns out for the past couple months of having occasional conversations like this, it's only served to make his feelings stronger. More than once has he said we need to talk, and in those talks he's said things like how he appreciates our close friendship, etc., relating to trauma dumping and trust and whatever. Well, last week during one of our little parties, I was joking about having a crush on someone at work. I wouldn't say it's a real crush, we've never spoken, and I'm certainly not trying to initiate anything, and M28 burst out that he's attracted to me and I should stop talking about things like that. I went beet red and changed the subject. It really pisses me off that he thinks I should censor myself because of feelings he has, that I've done nothing to encourage. The next day, of course, I get a text that says we need to talk. I purposely skip the shelter, but he insists that he comes over to talk at my parents' house because it's important. Parents were not home, so fine, he comes over, we chat a bit, and then I ask how bad is it? He launches into some of his romantic history and how it's so rare to have feelings this strong, and I light up his day, blah blah blah. Excuse me for being callous, but I've heard this all before. He wants sex. That's what every single relationship and friendship I've had with men boils down to. M28 starts crying because I won't just force myself to be with him. I offer him a tissue and he sniffs and asks for a band-aid instead because he fell down earlier and scraped his knee. Oh my god. It probably sounds like I'm shaming him for being unmanly, but honestly IDGAF about gender. If anyone came to my house crying because they've known me for 3 months and started begging me to get over myself, and fuck them and then ask for a band-aid for the smallest scratch I've ever seen, I'd think they were pathetic. My reaction to this situation is universal, I assure you. I was nicer in person than I'm being here, but I don't believe for a minute that I can continue our friendship as it was. Knowing he's this desperate to get me in bed and literally willing to grovel for it, I can't find an ounce of respect for him anymore, and having been around desperate men before, I don't trust him or feel safe. He's latched on to one of my favorite hobbies, crochet. Weird, right? And is trying to make plans incorporating that, but crochet is my favorite way to clear my mind alone. It's pretty obvious that despite everything I said to him, he's betting on patience and ingratiating himself to me by asking me to teach him and make things together. He's playing the long game to get his DCK wet. I don't want to have to stop volunteering here to get away from him, and what I learned in therapy encourages me to get past this to maintain the friendship. Am I insane for being this skeptical of his true intentions? Is there anything else I can do to reduce his attraction, or is my pre-therapy instinct right to GTFO ASAP? Update 1. So before I made my original post, I already had plans with a mixed group including M28. Before I dive in, I just want to thank everyone that shared their experiences with ill-informed therapy, social anxiety, boundaries, and struggles similar to mine. I wish I was in a place where I could trust my gut without other input, but at least there are kind, encouraging people out there. So unfortunately the other people cancelled. It was not on purpose, just things fell apart on their end, and I ended up being alone with M28. It was okay. Later on in the day some of the others did show up, and we were playing around with those TikTok tarot readings, just being silly. Well, when it was my turn, the video that came up, of course, was all about love and romance, and I was like, no way, this makes me want to gag. M28 immediately burst into tears in front of everyone because I wish you had said that the other night, that I make you want to gag. To be fair, there were some shots of alcohol involved before this. But still. I generally had a good day and wanted to keep the vibe, so I basically had to talk him down, also in front of everyone, and then once everyone left, he pulled me aside, shocker, and I had to reiterate again that the stupid TikTok thing is literally just TikTok. My reaction was not about him, and had to defend my entire position in life again. Then he asked if he could prove himself to no longer make a scene by helping me study for university. I said I wasn't sure, but obviously I'm not going to do that. It's hard enough to focus on school without a weepy baby having tantrums next to me and probably checking me out when I'm not looking. So, it's sad and it sucks because I have to change my whole shit now, but I managed to find some other volunteer shifts that work with my schedule, but it's cutting down to 1 day a week. I told the coordinator why and that I would like my new schedule to be private if possible, and they agreed to take me off the email list and just know when I'm coming in. I feel bad complicating her job and also ditching the other volunteers, but at least I still get to see the animals I've grown warm to. I alluded to this being a pattern in my life in my previous post and comments, but truly this guy takes the cake. He really believes that every single thing I have to say revolves around him, like he takes up space in my head. Well, he does, in a negative way. This week things seriously escalated on his end and I'm already tired of it. Surprise, M28, I've actually lived an entire life without you and I will continue to do so. Sorry you're so insecure that your life can be totally encompassed by someone else this easily. It's sad, but I doubt he will change. The tactic of cry then guilt into more of what I want is super easy to do. He sees every activity I do alone, joyfully, as an opportunity to commandeer that time and make it about him. I was nervous at first he'd end up seeing this. I think he uses Reddit as well, but TBH, I don't care anymore. If he does see this, maybe seeing my side, because clearly he cannot listen, might shock him into acting like a normal adult person.